Welcome to week 2 of Lovable Shipped. This week, my main focus was trying to really get an MVP working. A few of the challenges did come up, though, in regards to really getting the automation. I'll walk through what were some of the changes we've seen before. Not many too cosmetic changes. I really wanted to focus more on use case. First week was ideation. Second week, I was trying to do more on iteration to get actually real people, real users working and trying this out. I added a cute little logo, but that is just visual. But as I kind of think through, we updated the name to really be Fireside. I already had the domain, and I really thought it fit better with the idea of collecting stories and being able to pass thoughts and conversations down through generations. Some of the big changes are really just also cleaning up the UI a little bit. This was here before, but really still focusing on elders and the youth. Elders, in the sense of getting stories from your parents or grandparents, is still the biggest value prop and the biggest focus. I had a few conversations with, I guess you could say, potential users or beta users, and a lot came around, especially with my age, being a lot of people saying, my grandparents are still alive. They grew up through an interesting time. I would love people to pass down those stories to my kids or even to my grandchildren in the future. So there was a lot of resonance on the real core problem we're solving. Some of the updates where I was really focusing on this week was adding a roadmap. This one is really the idea of building in public. This is just AI generated, but wanted to work on this more and more just so that you can prevent feature creep. Talking to users, they always say, hey, well, could you add this, do this, how about this, and get over the top very fast. So a lot of time now when collecting feedback, I can add it to my project plan and allow myself to build in public more. And when things come up, can kind of add, is this a now, next, or later problem? Pricing page is still generic, but one of the big things I really got working was streamlining it. So before I had a bunch of different stories to choose from, now you have one story, and we're going to go through right now. So to join, you have to join the beta. And we have a live counting of who many people are in the beta to show some intensity, to kind of make that scarcity effect. But more of the stories for me to be able to track how many people are already signed up. When you start now, let me go back. So when you start telling the story, you have to verify, and this does work. It gives you a little bit of introduction of what the story is going to be about, just to prepare and think of a question. So let me go through this right now. So what is the childhood place I remember vividly? And I'll say my grandfather's backyard. I'll skip through this a bit in the video, just going to speed it up, but I'm going to not go to the full extent because it's going to be a live test of the actual platform, and I'll take you through the n8n workflow after. So right now I'll finish the story. One thing I'm working on that currently doesn't happen. So how the process currently works now is we'll send a webhook over to n8n, and n8n will go through a process I'm about to take you through, and it'll generate and send me a link to the story we just created. Over the last week, I also integrated with OpenAI to just use some of their basic process here to generate using AI based on the questions, a nice storybook for myself, and I'll take you through this a bit more. But for next week, I want to clean up this a bit more so that we have a webhook returning so you can see something here and not just this message here. But this is more of a test internally to know what's happening. So let me take you through now what n8n is going through. So now working through n8n, this is kind of the process set up. So we do a webhook from Lovable, which we just saw, it taking the questions and answers. I made it so that it collects questions as well, because with the future plan having multiple different stories, we can collect information, first name, last name, email, just the basic information required. OpenAI then generates a story using your question. So this is not making up the story. This is using your actual story to generate the prompt and response. I was able to also learn that I wanted to make this idea a downloadable PDF. However, that required different tooling. It was a little more complex to set up. So to test and really build the MVP, I'm using Google Docs. So I made a template. This is the template, nothing too special here, which will be filled in. I just wanted to make it hopefully a little bit more aesthetic. Then we create the Google Doc, update it based on the response we got from OpenAI, and then we share the file. Obviously sent this to myself, so now I have edit access to the file. So going through the whole workflow, we generate this document. Obviously for next week, I'll make this a little more aesthetic, but this is really just a proof of concept. So what you'll hear will be childhood adventures. This is my email. I've created myself. And then here, this created this story based on my information, talking about my grandfather's backyard, about how we would work together, creating those trees, making a whole experience really personal to me. If you read through the story, a lot of this is tied back to this. And the reason this is really impactful is the questions I'm trying to create really have a not a generic flow, but a connected flow. Idea and working your way down so that when AI takes this story, it creates one that isn't hallucinating or making things up. So right now, this is kind of the test. I have finished for week 2 that really had the proof of concept, and I believe this is good enough to get the idea there with a few other people. So for next week, I'm hoping to improve this, make it a little bit maybe more aesthetic, add possibly, once I get more use cases, better questions to ask, obviously fix things like the title and how it's sent over. And the big thing as well is within n8n, adding more of the workflow, updating the Supabase accounts so that it can track the stories, so we have a record of that, and then also sending emails to update you when your story is ready. And the final big thing is also I'll move this back into Lovable, so when it's done, you get a nice little check mark or a logo or something to tell the user the test's done. So that's the update for week 2. Stay along for week 3 as I get more and more involved in this, and let me know if you have any feedback or questions. Hopefully you guys enjoy. And sorry I'm quiet. 8-month-old is sleeping. Have a good day.